Alrighty, we got some big news out of Florida. Uh, the First District Court of Appeals has struck down the ban on open carrying of firearms as unconstitutional. That means in Florida you can legally carry a firearm out in the open. We also did away with the requirement that you had to have a permit to carry a handgun concealed about 18 months ago. So we have, in fact, embraced constitutional carry finally in Florida. What the law and what this court ruling does not change is you still cannot carry a gun in a bar. You still cannot carry one in a place of public nuisance. You cannot carry one in a city, county, state, or federal municipal building. That hasn't changed, whether you're carrying open or concealed. And it does not interfere with property rights if some business or other private entity wants to ban firearms on their property. They can still post a sign conspicuously saying no firearms permitted, and that's their prerogative. If you carry a gun on there and they ask you to leave, well, after that they call the police. Now you go to jail for trespass with a firearm. The other three places I've mentioned, the government buildings, bars, and places that have been adjudicated a place of public nuisance. Those three places are protected by way of law anyway, and again, you now go to jail for illegally carrying a firearm. What does this mean? Well, it means that in most places that are open to the public, I can carry my gun outside my pants, out in plain view. It doesn't have to be concealed. However, I also have the option to cover it up as is necessary. Yes, I can walk down a public street and have my gun outside my pants, in plain view, and strut around like a little peacock if I want to. And in some conditions, in some activities, that might be a good thing. Am I for open carry? Yeah, as a general rule. But we also want to exercise a little common sense with it. I usually choose the equipment I'm going to carry based on what I'm going to be doing, where I'm going to be going, and who I'm going to be doing this with. Okay? Firearms are only a piece of equipment to me. And subject to the same thing as which knife I'm going to carry, what kind of cordage I may carry, what kind of other camping gear I might carry, what other type of emergency equipment I might carry. There's no different. Now, the gun at the top is my full-size Glock 22, and I shoot this one a lot in competition. I run it as my limited gun, even though the only modification to this gun is I put a back plate on it that has the Masonic logo on it. This would be an excellent candidate for an open carry gun. And there are times when open carry has its advantages. The other one down here is my Glock Model 27. Again, not really modified from its original state. And because it's smaller size, typically this may be something I would be more likely to conceal. Have I carried the full-size gun concealed? Yes. Have I carried the smaller gun out in the open? Yes. Simply depends a lot of time on how much weight I want to carry on me that day. We've always been able to carry a gun out in the open if we're hunting, fishing, or camping. And to me, those are appropriate places where open carry is normal. We can also carry a gun out in the open if we're attending a sporting event related to firearms, like the USPSA matches I shoot, or if we're on private property. And that brings us into an area where we might want to exercise a little bit of common sense. I currently reside in a small town named Perry, Florida, and it's a very rural area. And if I walk into the Huddle House or some other restaurant and I have my gun on and everybody sees it, nobody's going to think anything of it. Why? Because a lot of times I'm either A, going to be hunting, I'm going to be fishing, I may be going to the woods, whatever. It doesn't look out of place. I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. And when I go back over there to visit my mom and dad, well, a lot of people aren't used to seeing somebody with a gun out in the open. They get panicky, they get nervous. It just doesn't look like it fits there. Okay? Even though I can legally carry my gun out in the open, may not be the best idea. That's where I may want to keep my gun covered up. Because, in my opinion, it may be inappropriate. Okay, if I'm around things with I've got gun people around me, hey, I may wear the thing out in the open. It doesn't matter who sees it because we're all gun guys. But maybe I'm doing some activity where, hey, I'm not around gun people. Maybe I'm going to the mall. Maybe I'm going to a movie theater. Okay? Maybe I'm going anywhere where I can legally carry the gun, but it's probably not the best idea to have it out in the open. That's where concealed carry becomes your better option. Are there advantages to open carry? Certainly. I can carry a bigger gun as a rule. I can get to the gun and access it quicker because I'm not having to sweep a cover garment away from it. Does concealed carry have an advantage? Yeah. Number one, I'm at a tactical advantage because nobody knows I'm armed. The second option, I'm not alarming the public and drawing attention to myself. If I'm standing in a bank, in most cases, and I'm wearing a gun out in the open, well, somebody comes in to rob it. I've just become a target because they're going to try to eliminate the threat that can respond to them the quickest and the harshest. Okay? So there are times when me keeping the gun out of sight may be advantageous. Also depends on who I've got around me. Maybe I'm on an outdoor outing somewhere where it's to a point where I want to carry my gun with me because we may run into predators of the two-legged variety. The four-legged variety are those that crawl on their bellies. But I'm not with gun people. Well, that's where a little discretion comes in. And we want to exercise that under using some common sense. Am I against open carry? Not hardly. Am I for using the method of carry, open or concealed, that's appropriate under the circumstances? Absolutely. You know, just because we can blanket legally do something doesn't mean it's our best option. There are times where I want people to know I've got my gun on me. There are other times when I don't. Okay? Very simple. The laws may have changed. Yes, I could walk through downtown Jacksonville with a fast draw rig and a long barreled revolver. Doesn't mean that means that I have got to do it, and it may not be my best option. Okay? Certainly, if I was out hunting and I had a 6-inch barrel 44 Magnum, that looks right. But if I'd had that same gun carried in the same fashion, and I'm going to some place in a bigger city, hey, people are going to get nervous because they don't know what my intentions are. They don't know who I am. Okay? It's that simple. We want to use our head when we carry our gun. And I'm going to pass on a little piece of wisdom somebody gave me a long time ago. If you'll use your head a little more, you'll use your gun a lot less. So, yes, I'm happy we have open carry now. I find it to be less restrictive. But we still want to exercise some good judgment and some sense when we do it. This kind of sums things up, and later on,